without the alcohol, it's quiet. I ain't talk. Nobody wants to hang out with the quiet, sober James. So I'm gonna be the drunk, loud James. It snowballed from there and it became to where I was drinking every day, becoming violent and mean. And during the time of my homelessness, I would just get drunk and sleep in the backseat of somebody's car, wherever I could.
Can you first introduce yourself?
My name's James. I was born right here in Great Bridge, and I've been coming to River Oaks since 2020.
Can you start out by telling me a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah. So both my parents were severe alcoholics from the time I could remember, from when I was in diapers until the day they died. They both are no longer with us. Me and my sister grew up in violent, a violent mess. There was roaches crawling around. There was beer cans. My mom and dad would literally get drunk every night until the point of fighting physically, where the cops would have to come from the neighbors being, that we would call the neighbors would call the cops. My dad actually broke every bone in my mom's face. Um, and that all went on until I was about 13 years old. And then my family from the outside, my sisters, my aunts, and everybody stepped in and got social services involved. And the state basically said either I go live with them or they're going to take me out of the home. So I ended up living with my aunt and uncle, and I was with them until I was 16 and started getting in trouble, got on probation, and ended up getting emancipated because I didn't want to be in school. So my probation officer said either jail or get your GED and let's do what we got to do to go on. So I got emancipated at 16 and been on my own ever since.
So, as a young kid, had you ever had any experiences with church or?
Yeah, so growing up, we didn't have no relationship with Jesus or anything of that matter. We didn't go to church regularly. We might go to church on Christmas or Easter, and even then, like, nothing was ever explained to us why we're going to church or the real reason behind Christmas or real reason behind Easter. Um, we didn't really we didn't have no. There was a Bible in the house, but it never got read. And honestly, if anybody was talking about God, it was because they were cussing. There was always a cuss word behind it. But there really won't no kind of, even if you want to call it religion, there won't no religion, and without even a little bit of religion, you can't have a relationship. So we didn't know nothing about a savior, Jesus Christ. We just knew that there was a God, and that was basically it.
What kind of toll did that take on you as a young child?
Huh? I always felt like we were second. Like the alcohol always came first, uh, and there was never like God and the family and then the kids or nothing. It was the alcohol and whatever fell behind that, whatever they could remember to handle or remember to do. Never really knew what unconditional love was because depending on how drunk they were or if they had enough to drink or whatever, they were never happy people. They were always either happy drunks or mad drunks, but it was never just a normal happy in the home. So I really didn't know what a happy home was. I didn't know what real love was. I don't think an alcoholic can't show you real love, and if they're drunk all the time, I mean, it's just something that's not able to be shown the way it should be. And I felt like I had to grow up real fast because well, my sister, she's like 3 years younger than I, And I always felt like I had to protect her and keep her safe in the middle of the fighting and all that. And they would get so drunk they wouldn't even feed us. We'd have to make oodles and noodles or whatever we could cook her at the time, or make a sandwich or whatever. So I didn't really get to know what being a kid carefree was. I never had carefree moments. Even when we were at school, I was wondering, are they going to be drunk when I get home? Is there going to be any time without them being drunk today? And they're the type of people that as soon as you got off the bus, you could be 50 feet from them and see them and know if they've been drinking yet or not. They didn't hide it well at all. They were sloppy drunks, just mean, nasty drunks. So yeah, as a kid, I didn't get to go on not having to worry about older people's problems, because the older people didn't worry about nothing but getting drunk. So it was a lot on me, I think. We never really got real birthday parties. I know Santa is not the point of Christmas, but how I found out he was not real is because my parents got too drunk to put my Christmas presents under the tree. And so yeah, it really, my whole childhood was not normal. It was full of chaos and turmoil and just all kinds of, I don't even know what you would call it, really. Nothing normal, though. Just growing up fast and not feeling like I was enough, because how could you choose the alcohol over me? Like, you never care. But, yeah, so as a child, it definitely messed with my emotions and the whole way I felt about myself, and probably has a lot to do with the way I feel about myself today.
When you were 13 and there was a custody change, were you guys excited about that? That you were maybe going to get out of that situation? Or was it, I mean, they're still your parents, so like, was that bittersweet or?
It was bittersweet because, even an adult doesn't want their parents to be divorced or be separated, and every person wants the Leave It to Beaver home, regardless if you're 10 or 25. So it was bittersweet, it's your parents. That's your mom and your dad, and just just the fact that they couldn't stop just even a little long enough to keep us in the house. It was like they didn't care. Like, it was weight off their shoulders almost. Like, I don't remember seeing either one of them put forth any effort or fight anything or any of that. I just remember them basically just being cool with it and signing the papers so that they wouldn't get in trouble, or so that they didn't have to worry about it no more. That's the way I took it. Like, without putting us up for adoption, they put us up for adoption. It was just somebody else made them do it, and they didn't have a problem with it.
So then you're kind of 13, you're going into like middle school and high school. What is your young teenage years looking like?
Well, after all that happened, and I just felt alone, and like, if my parents don't love me, who else is gonna love me? Even though we were living with family, it's still not the same. So for a while, I just was alone, kept to myself. I would try and write music and just listen to music. It really helped me through that time. It wasn't Christian music like I listen to now, but just music it helped get me through. And then I started hanging out with people at school and went to a few parties like right around 14, I would say. And that's when I realized that once you drink beer, you can kind of forget about all the other things and forget about what you look like to other people, and who cares what they think right now, because I got a buzz and it's fun and I'm fitting in. Everybody's laughing and everything's cool. Nobody's got a problem now. And so, went through, I don't know, I guess I would say 7th or 8th grade. 8th grade. Yeah. Went through 8th grade, smoking weed and drinking beer on Fridays and Saturdays. Saving up whatever money we could save up throughout the week so we could have fun during the weekend. And then as I hit 15 and 16 and I started hanging out with older people that could get me beer on a regular, I would start drinking more regular, not just at a party, but every day, to forget about who I was and where I came from, and just to have fun and fit in with everybody. Because without the alcohol, it's quiet. I ain't talk. I ain't make no jokes or anything. Just sit there in the corner. If anybody wouldn't talk to me, I was fine with it. But then after a few beers, I'll stay in the middle of the room and talk to everybody. I didn't care. And I kind of just rolled with that. Like that's who I am now. Nobody wants to hang out with the quiet, sober James. So I'm gonna be the drunk, loud James. And then it snowballed from there, and it became to where I was drinking every day, becoming violent and mean and getting charges.
At parties, fights.
Parties or fights. I would get in fights at school. Get in fights. I got caught with marijuana in school. Get in fights at parties. There was no really like a gray area. I was either laughing or mad, and I think that just stemmed from what I seen as a child, and it just followed through with what I knew. And then just kept on going.
Would you say that, like, deep down at that point in time, you just had inner anger that was sort of unresolved, and you were kind of trying to solve that through the bottle?
Definitely. Yeah, not only did it help me fit in, but it helped me forget about my anger towards my parents. And I don't even know why I had so much anger towards myself, but I was mad at myself. But yeah, it definitely rooted from the anger that started in my home. Just definitely.
So by 16, you were already on probation. Like, what happened that you got on probation?
So, I actually bought some weed from a kid in the bathroom, and we didn't try to hide it from the other kids that were in the bathroom, and one of them went and told the principal. And literally like 10 minutes after it happened, I went and sat down in my class, and here come the principal, told me to come on, and made me go in his office and search his or made me empty out all my pockets and everything, and I had marijuana on school property, which is a federal property, and so it automatically got me like 30 days suspended from school. Automatically got on probation. Had to deal with the whole CSEP part of the school and the I don't know if they call it substance abuse for teenagers, but it was a drug program that I had to go through to be able to get back into the school. And by the time all of that was said and done, I had rebelled against all of it. And my probation officer said, well, you can get your GED or you can go to jail. So we went through the GED program. I got my GED, and got a job. Wanted to be adult, so they made me be an adult, and I did what I had to do for like 6 months, just long enough to get off probation, and then that literally didn't last long. I was right back on probation, walking. Or you better say something.
How old were you when you got your GED?
Right before I turned 17, I was 16.
So once you got out, what was happening?
I got out and just more drugs and more drinking. Once I started drinking, I would basically do whatever kind of drugs that were around. Like they can say marijuana is a gateway drug or whatever they want to say is a gateway drug, but to me and from everybody in my experience, it's always alcohol. Once you get drunk, you just don't even care no more, and that's who I was. And I would get drunk and just do stupid stuff and do stupid drugs. And the next time I got on probation, I was walking down Military Highway at 2 o'clock in the morning with a 40 ounce in my hand, weed in my pocket, and all because me and my friend got in an argument at the Taco Bell. And I just started walking. And cops drove past, seeing me walking out of the street with a beer in my hand at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was only 18 years old. So underage drinking, drunk in public, possession of marijuana. And that started a whole nother couple years of probation because once I got on probation, I couldn't just listen. I had to try to find the loopholes around it and do this and try to pass the urine stream with this kind of this, and it just kept failing. I drew out what probably could have been taken care of in 10 months of probation. I made it 10 years of in and out of jail.
What was the longest sentence you ever served?
I've only done 9 months was the longest. But the messed up part is it only takes 30 days to lose everything, and I did 30 days a lot. So the longest was 9 months. But every time you go back for 30 days, you lose everything, and you gotta come out and you gotta start all over, and be done behind on your bills and everything. Your girlfriend done left you or whatever. I mean, it's 30 days is all it takes to lose everything, and I've been there 5 or 6 times.
At that point in your life, did you even think about God? Was there any type of feeling that you were doing wrong, or was there no feeling at all towards that?
No, not. The only feeling I really ever had towards God at that point wasn't like I didn't feel sorry for what I was doing or whatever. I felt like my actions were justified because of the position He put me in. I felt like He was punishing me for the things that I had done or for what my parents did or whatever. I just felt like if there was a God, He was just being mean to me. Like all this was happening just because of the bad things I did. I was just being punished. But I never took any accountability and said, no, this is your fault. This is the alcohol's fault. This is the choices you're making. This is the reason why everything is happening, why you keep down spiraling and going in and out of jail and all these crazy things that you're doing is not his fault. It's your fault and the fact that you keep getting drunk.
You said you moved to Florida at 19. What were you running from?
So I got on probation at 18, and at 19, I was tired of dealing with him. I was tired of answering to him and going down there and just jumping through the hoops and then telling me I wasn't doing good enough or I wasn't doing this or I wasn't doing that. And I just felt like I was a grown man and I'm going to do what I want to do. So I went and moved to Florida, and I didn't, at that point in time, I had lost my Social Security card and my ID, so I did not have any form of identification. I went down to Florida without ID or anything like that, so I couldn't even get a real job if I wanted to. So I just went down there and worked under the table for people in horse stalls and doing odds and end jobs, just enough money each day to get drunk and smoke some weed or whatever. And that went on for 2 years and literally burned up all my resources down there. Didn't have nobody to stay with, didn't have a job, couldn't get a real job because I didn't have an ID or anything like that. And the problems I was running from were just coming down there because of not having an ID and not having my legal situation here taken care of. I couldn't do anything there because they had a red flag in their DMV and wouldn't even issue me a state ID for Florida until I got my Virginia ID and everything taken care of.
When you left, you were on probation here.
Yep. So they wouldn't allow Florida to do anything because they wanted me to come back here so they could take care of, put me in jail and reinstate my probation and all that, which is exactly what ended up happening. I got tired of running and not being able to do anything, so I just came back and went to Chesapeake Police Department and turned myself in. And that's when I did the 9 months. They wouldn't let me out on bond or anything like that because I had ran. So every chance that I got to ask to get out, they would say no. Until, 9 months later, I finally got a judge that would let me out until, reinstate my probation for 4 years and let me out on good behavior. As long as I didn't bring back no more charges, I could just stay out on probation for 4 years. And that's what I did. It seemed like I always did exactly the amount of time. As soon as I get off probation, I would find myself right back in it.
Tell me about the 9 months. What was jail like? Was it prison or jail?
Just jail.
What was that like?
It was rough. That really would be the only time I ever read the Bible before any of that. That was the first time that I found myself actually reading the Bible. And I didn't understand much of it or anything like that, but for those 9 months I read the Bible. I went to some Bible studies in there, and the guys would come on Sunday and talk to us and all. And it was really eye-opening. Like, that's when I really started to realize that all this isn't punishment. All this is poor decisions. All this is just lack of good judgment and care of myself. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything. So it wasn't that anybody was punishing me. It was me basically punishing myself because of the choices I was making. And I lived life. If I would have known I was 40 or going to live to be 40, I would have done it different. But I lived life every day was going to be the last. I didn't care if I get drunk and don't wake up tomorrow. I just don't care. As long as I can get drunk and do what I'm going to do right now, that we're all good. I'll wake up tomorrow, go to work, make some money. And so when I was in jail, it kind of gave me 9 months of sobriety for the first time that I hadn't had since I was 13 or 14 when I started drinking every weekend and then slowly moving on. And it gave me a lot of time to think, that's for sure. It was really humbling. I never read the Bible before then, and just sitting there reading the Bible, not knowing what to do or who to talk to, or the Bible did help me through, but I didn't stick to it. As soon as I had that jailhouse religion. As soon as I got out, I forgot who God was and just went right back to it. But the 9 months was not good. Not good taking showers with other guys. Lonely. I wasn't one of those people who had somebody rich on the outside who could put money on their canteen and money on the books, and so I didn't get to talk on the phone. I didn't get extra snacks or nothing like that. I mean, jail's not fun. Never was fun for me. I don't ever want to go back, that's for sure. But those 9 months were unfortunately not enough to keep me from going back to what I was doing, though.
But I am curious of was that the beginning of even like was the seed planted of your faith that was going to come later? Like you being in the word and like did that play a part in that or did or not?
Well, I would say it did. It did play a part in me becoming to who I am now, I would say, because once I got out, once you read it or once you know it, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror and then walking away forgetting who you are if you don't apply it to your life. And all that always stuck to me and stuck with me. And so even during the times of me doing wrong, there would be things that I read while I was there that I didn't quite understand or worry about. I could see where I was going against God's will, and it started rubbing me a different way than it did before. Before that, I never looked at myself as the one causing the problem or anything like that. But after those 9 months, I did start having more self-accountability and thinking more of the long-term effect of my decisions instead of just today.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, even though it was a rough time, it was at least a seed was planted.
Yeah.
But tell me about when you got out and you mentioned in your 20s you ended up being homeless.
Yeah, so when I got out of jail, I didn't have nowhere to go. I would stay with my friends in different places where I could. I would rent a hotel room for a night or two or whatever I could afford or get through. And then, so that went on for a few years of me by myself, just staying here and there. And then I got with my girlfriend at the time when I was 24, and we ended up staying in a hotel. We stayed in a hotel for quite some time. I ended up, we lived there. I ended up getting her pregnant. I was only making $9 an hour. I didn't have a license. I didn't have an ID. We just was living in a hotel, scrounging by. Ended up getting her pregnant, and then shortly after getting her pregnant, we were able to move out of the hotel room into a house with my nephew, and we stayed there for a little while. Then we found ourselves living at 453 Great Bridge Boulevard. We lived there for about 5 years. But during the time of my homelessness, I would just get drunk and sleep in the backseat of somebody's car. Or a few times I would go back to my uncle's house that took me from my parents, and I would crawl into his boat. I would literally just sleep anywhere I could without getting in trouble. Like, I didn't even care where. As long as I wouldn't get in trouble, I don't care if it's comfortable. As long as I didn't get in trouble. But, yeah, and that's how I lived for a while.
What happened with your girlfriend who was pregnant?
So, we got the house, 453 Great Bridge Boulevard. We lived there for a few years. We were both alcoholics, and we couldn't get past the fighting and arguing, and I would spend all of our money on drugs and alcohol, and she didn't work. So it was really a struggle. We never had enough money to do anything, and the money that we did have, I would waste on drugs. So we ended up just splitting up. And then, of course, she took my daughter with her. And that was the only reason I had for being sober at any time was for my daughter. And now she was gone with her mom. So I stayed at the house as long as I could by myself. But I just was drinking more, doing more drugs, and spending more money that I didn't have. And shortly after that, I found myself homeless again. Back to the same old thing. Going back to jail. Yeah, just right back to the same thing. Homeless, sleeping in cars, couches, wherever I could. And that was when I was 24. And that is literally how I lived my life until I was 30. When I was 30, did you want me to keep going? Yeah, when I was 30, I met my wife. She was an alcoholic in an abusive relationship. And we talked on the phone for a few months, and then actually got her to leave who she was with and come with me. And we got a hotel room at the Wood Springs Hotel right down here across from the water tower. And we were basically homeless, except for we lived in the hotel, but we stayed there for like 13 months. So we moved into the hotel around September. We stayed there. I was getting drunk and just doing our thing, getting drunk in the hotel room. And I ended up getting her pregnant. We found out she was pregnant in December. So she quit drinking in December. And then I kept on my nonsense until March 1st of 2018. And then I was sitting there getting drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just had a meltdown, like a epiphany or a breakthrough or whatever you want to call it. For the first time, I just looked at myself like from the inside out and was like, you're with a different woman and you have a different job. It's a different time in life. But here you are in a hotel with another woman pregnant, still no license, no job, no future, no goals. And the only thing is the same is your relationship with alcohol. And it's like, you just got to give it up, dude. And so if you want anything, I looked at she was my girlfriend then, but I looked at her, she was sleeping. Like, if you want anything for you or her or that baby, you just got to stop. So I took the beer that I was drinking. It just so happened to be the last one. And I dumped it out, was crying. And I haven't drank since that day. That was 7.5 years ago. Yeah.
That sounds like God's intervention.
It had to be. It had to be. Because James would have just tried to get another 12-pack. It's the first time I ever wanted to dump a beer out. It definitely wasn't my doing.
I get the privilege of talking to all these different people and hearing their testimonies, and the one common thread I always hear is God pursuing us. We're all a mess. In our own ways, we're all a different mess. And it's like, this was a pretty divine moment in your life of clarity that he gave you.
Yeah, you did.
When you woke up the next day, and you probably have a conversation with your girlfriend, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we get up the next day, and I kind of told her, I don't know why or what happened last night, but I realized I'm the problem, that alcohol is the problem, and until I do something with that, we're never gonna get anywhere. I was like, so I dumped my beer out last night. I cried right here, basically over you while you were sleeping, and I'm not gonna drink no more. And I was a functioning alcoholic. Every day I drink, I go to work, I drink, I go to work. Some days I drank at work. So when I said that, she didn't believe it, as anyone can imagine. Like it just me talking, even talking about quitting drinking, never came about. So me quitting drinking, who was gonna believe that? And of course, I didn't even believe it. I was probably still intoxicated as I was saying this to my wife from the night before, because it takes 24 hours for everything to get clear out your system before you can think clearly and before you're don't have alcohol in your blood. And so she didn't believe me. And by the grace of God, 10 days later, I was still sober. And I asked her if she would marry me. And she said, yeah. And 2 days later, March 12th, 2018, we went to the courthouse and got married. And been married ever since.
Do you feel that something spiritually shifted in you that moment?
I do I feel there was a spiritual shift in me. I'm not going to say that I became to know God or that I started chasing God or anything like that, but my whole outlook on life, my whole demeanor changed. I started feeling different about myself. I started wanting things for other people instead of always just thinking about myself and what can I do today to get drunk or get high. I started thinking totally different. I started making my thoughts about my wife and the baby and the daughter that I already had. And yeah, I definitely feel a spiritual shift came upon me in that moment of whatever it was that made me want to quit drinking. It wasn't of my flesh, that's for sure. I know that. Something at that time said, it's time. Your time of this is no longer. Now it's time to move on to bigger things and bigger plans.
How did it feel to finally have stability with a home and a family?
Yeah, so once I quit drinking and we got married, we saved up some money. Our baby was due August 17th. We moved into the house August 1st. So we were able to get into the house literally 2 weeks before the baby was born. That felt so good. It was the first time that I'd ever done anything sober. And I felt like I actually accomplished something. So it was a great feeling. I felt like we were on the right path. We had our ducks in a row finally. I started paying off my fines and working towards getting my license. Things felt great. For the first time in life, I felt like I was actually being a man.
You mentioned both of your parents passed away early in your sobriety.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I quit drinking March 1st, and May 19th, my mother passed away from cirrhosis of the liver. That was a real hard time for me. I was only 2 months sober, and the only way I knew how to deal with pains was getting high and drunk. And I was so scared that I was going to drink. I was so scared I was going to get high. I just lost my mom, and it's the hardest thing that I'd ever could even think of. Like, I didn't even know what to think or how to feel. Man, it was hard, and it was a daily struggle each day to look in the mirror and not drink and not get high. Um, but it also made me a little stronger because she just died from alcohol. So it gave me, I think, a little bit more of a reason not to drink. But I would be lying if I said I did not want to drink when I found out my mom was dead. So I made it through all that. And then, like July 20th, my father passed away. We had his cremation celebration party of life, whatever you want to call it, 2 days after I moved into my house. That was really crushing also. And all that happened just 120 days of being sober. I didn't even know how to deal with feelings, let alone those type of feelings. But I was standing there. Right after we moved in the house, we were getting ready to go to my dad's celebration of life. And I looked at myself in the mirror for the first time and actually put together what I had just done. And I just lost both my parents, and I didn't get drunk or get high. So I knew I was for real about being sober. If I didn't drink during those times, I knew I really had a desire to stay sober. It wasn't something I was just doing for show. That's what a lot of people thought. Oh, it won't be long. You'll be drinking. You ain't gonna be able to do it. I've tried it. Nobody wants to see you succeed when they can't. But I knew that day, looking in the mirror, that there was a fire inside, and it wasn't just me. I really wanted to stay sober, and somebody else really wanted me to too. So as hard as that was, I was able to do it, and I know it was God that got me through it, but at that point in time, I didn't know it was God. I didn't have a relationship with God yet, but He was bringing me through it, and bringing me to where He wanted me to be. I just had to get my agenda and my selfish plans out of the way, and yeah, that was a hard time.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I know that was rough. So, I'm trying to put this together based on what you gave me. From that point, your daughter was born. Is it daughter?
Yeah.
And you mentioned, I think your wife started going to church. Like, is that kind of next in line of the story?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
From that period of like your daughter being born and you're keeping your sobriety and your wife starts coming to church. Like, what's that looking like?
So, my daughter was born in 2018. In 2019, my wife, she started attending River Oak with a few of her friends, and her and my daughter would go to church on Sundays. They would leave the house, and I would just be sitting there. She would leave, go to church, come home, and she would tell me, ever since her first time coming, she told me how good and how great River Oak Church was, and it's a loving place and just a place where I needed to come. So just be freed from all the feelings that I have. Because after all that happened, after my parents died, I was really angry. I walked around angry at everything and everybody. And that's just how I lived my life. I was just mad all the time. I wasn't getting drunk and I wasn't getting high, but I wasn't happy and I wasn't mad. I mean, I was just not a fun person to be around. And then that she started coming to church and would come home and tell me that this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be freed from all the things that I feel and all the things going on in my life. And, I would tell her, just like I told anybody, anytime anybody spoke to me about God in the past, I would say, that's your thing, and you can just keep doing that, and I'll keep doing my thing. And that's how it went on for about a year. And then one day, I was just feeling extra mad this day. I don't even know if it was mad, just extra down, sad, and just all of my emotions. And they left to go to church, and I was just sitting there. And I was like, I just had to ask myself, you keep doing your thing and they're doing theirs, but how's it working for you? I just had a feeling like I was being cheated. I don't know what they're getting out of the church, but I'm not getting anything sitting here at home. And I just felt like I was just sitting there looking dumb, mad and confused, and didn't know why. Nobody to talk to. So I thought about it all week. And that following Sunday, I got up and got dressed and said, I'm going to church with y'all. And I came to church, and I was a little skeptical and everything when I first came in, but it didn't take but a few minutes. People started talking to me and saying welcome, and by the end of the service, I could feel what my wife had been talking about. This is where I needed to be. I could feel it. The first time I ever heard really what the gospel of Jesus Christ was about. First time I ever heard it preached. First time I could feel it in the room. Like I could just feel something different in the room. And all I knew is I wanted to be a part of it, and I was coming back next week. And I did. I came back the following Sunday. Started coming every Sunday, and been coming every Sunday since, unless, something happens. But me and my wife started serving before we started serving on the children's ministry in 2021, I got saved at the Thanksgiving service. Kyle Toddy, he baptized me, and man, that changed my life forever, for sure. As soon as I came out of the water, I felt different, and I still feel the same way today. I just feel different, born again. And so we started really digging in. I wanted to be plugged into church. We started coming to small groups, being in the resource groups. We started serving in children's ministry. We've been doing it for 4 years now. But it's just not where I felt my testimony had a place, because as an addict, I'm either all in or all out, and I'm all in for Jesus. And so I read his word, and I try to live by his word. And as I was reading and understanding his word, that we're supposed to take our testimonies and our stories and lead other people to Jesus Christ and the glory of God through our stories, I knew then that my story don't have no place in children's ministry. It's awesome to do that and help out, but my testimony ain't going to have its full potential in the children's ministry. So I felt I was called to recovery some sort, some way, and didn't really know what that looked like or what I was going to do with that. I would talk to my friends and my co-workers and things, and people would suggest things, and it just never really pricked my heart the way I would want it to, and the way I thought it should, if this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I would just forget about it for a little while and go on to the next thing. And just go on about life and forget about it. And then I'd have that feeling come back up. And it would be like months go by, and then the feeling would come back up, and I would talk to my wife or to other people, and again, it would just be something that got little suggestions here and there, but just swept under the rug. And I didn't think nothing of it. And that went on for 2 years. And then one night I was sitting at home, and I got an email from River Oak Church and Love Remain Ministries saying that they wanted to start a recovery program here at River Oak Church, but they didn't have nobody to lead, nobody that was here to facilitate, and asked if I would like to be a part of becoming a recovery program here. And as soon as I read the email, I knew. I just had that feeling in my heart that I was expecting to have before, but I knew that was God telling me, this is why you've been feeling recovery. This is why you've been having those feelings. I've been making you think and feel it so that when I sent you this email, you would know this is what I was talking about. And I know it was him that sent the email.
How did you know it was from God?
Yeah, as soon as I read that email, I just knew it was from God, because my heart and my mind, like when I would think about recovery and being led to recovery the past 2 years, there would be this feeling inside me. Like it might just be me driving my work truck down the road, and I would think about it, and it would have a feeling inside, like a tugging on my heart. And that's how I knew that I was being called to recovery, or that maybe I should go into recovery. But every time I spoke to somebody about it, they would say, you can go to the jail, or you can do this, you can do all that. That feeling that I had when I felt the calling, I didn't have that feeling when anybody told me anything or suggested any of this stuff or this program you can look into or any of that. None of that ever tugged at my heart, so I didn't pursue it. As soon as I opened up that email and read it, I had that feeling. Like, this is unexplainable. The feeling I had when I was alone, but being felt called to recovery, the feeling that I had all those times it kept coming up, is the same exact feeling I had when I read the email. It was like God made my heart feel the same way it did so that I would connect the pieces. And as soon as I felt it on my heart, and I knew that it was the feeling I had been feeling, I knew it was God. I knew He was leading me the past 2 years because He didn't want me to miss that email. When He sent it and I opened it, He wanted me to know, this is the thing that's been pricking your heart. Well, He's been pricking my heart so that I would recognize that this is what He wanted me to do.
What's been different about these last 10 months in the program?
I've done the sober thing for 7.5 years now. And for the first 3.5 years, it was very hard. I did everything by myself. I leaned on my own understanding for everything. I bottled everything up. I kept it all inside. After coming to River Oak and being a part of a church community and being saved and understanding Jesus Christ holds my burdens. He takes my sins and He wore them on the cross, and they're not mine to wear no more. They're not mine to carry no more. That really helped me get through the last 3 years, the next 3 years of my sobriety. And being part of a community and of believers, it helped me so much. It was so much easier than the first 3.5 years. But the last 10 months that I've been going through regeneration here at River Oak and being part of the pilot program, it has by far been the easiest because I'm not just part of a community of believers, but I have brothers and sisters in Christ that I have built a bond with, that I can confess my sins to, that I can stand before God in open arms and open hands and pray with these people and cry with these people and confess to God that though I am broken and though I would never be perfect, I want to help others that don't know that you don't have to be perfect to know God. You don't have to be put into a box to be a Christian. In fact, God, the creator of the earth, knew everything we were going to do and all the mess ups we were going to mess up, and he created us anyway. So the past 10 months have really been so much easier than the past because I now know that I'm not alone. Jesus Christ and God are with me each and every day. And there are so many people who don't know that and don't know that there are brothers and sisters that are here to pray with them and to walk through life with them, not just in the high parts, but in the low parts. And they're here to help carry you up to the high parts and help carry you down to the low parts so that you don't fall flat on your face when you think you did something good. And just having a community of people that I can lean on in a time of just some of your lowest points in time. Knowing that these people aren't judging you, they're just here to love you. They're here to help lift you up and help connect your heart with God, help get your heart connected with Jesus' heart. And that is the whole mission, the whole purpose of regeneration is to get you on a daily relationship with Jesus Christ so that we can be connected back to God the Father and not have to worry about if we're good enough, because we'll never be good enough. But Jesus Christ is good enough, and he came and he made a way, and he is the way. And I just wish I knew that in the beginning of my sobriety. But then again, I'm glad I didn't, because now I know the difference, and I have a message to relay to somebody that sobriety by yourself is not easy. But when you lay your sobriety at the feet of Jesus Christ, you can walk through sobriety each day with faith, knowing there's nothing you can do, but as long as you're obedient to him, everything can be accomplished.
That's awesome, man. You said step 5, confession became your favorite. Why is that?
Step 5 of regeneration is confession, and that is my favorite because I think for the past 38 years, it's been hard for me to confess anything. You know, I didn't want to confess that my family were drunks. I didn't want to confess that my house had roaches in it. I didn't want to confess that I wasn't a strong enough man to turn from generational cycles. I didn't want to confess that I wasn't good enough or that I didn't feel like I didn't feel like a man. I didn't want to confess any of my problems to anybody for so long and confess that I was an alcoholic or anything. I would just hide it. I would hide everything. I would never tell anybody nothing and use my anger to push people away so I didn't have to confess anything. And I think I love step 5 so much, and it's my favorite because once I opened up and confessed all the things that I did to people and all the things people have done to me, and I confessed it to my peers and I confessed it to God, it was 38 years of weight lifted off my shoulders. I never told people those things before. I never expressed those things. I never cried with other men before without being drunk. Being able to confess my problems and not be ashamed of them was my favorite part of the whole program. Because to have a problem and to hold it in because you feel ashamed of it is a heavy weight to carry. But to let it out, other than my kid being born, is really the best feeling in the world. To just know that I don't have to hide, that my God loves me the way I am, and it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And I love it. I love to be able to just not be okay and not have to hide it. So confess is my favorite step because I was never able to be honest, and now I don't have to lie no more. So yeah.
What kind of healing has God done in your heart through this group?
You know, we can fake okay. We can fake being okay. We can fake being fine. We can tell everybody that whatever they want to hear just to get them to leave you alone. But through the program, you really got to dig down. You really got to lay all of you on the line before God and dig down into who you are and where you've came from and why you do what you do. Not who you think you are or what do you think you do. But you have to be real. There's no faking it with God. He already knows. So once you start really breaking it down with him, and then after you discuss it with him, you discuss it with other people, there really is no Band-Aid that you can put on that. You open your heart up, and he sews it back together. One day at a time, one assignment at a time, one verse at a time. He literally it makes you open your heart up to him, and he stitches it back together. He fills the hole in your heart that only he can fill. He closes it and puts his touch right where it needed to be the whole time, because the whole time I was chasing these things, I was just trying to fill the hole that only Jesus can fill. And this program has allowed me and gave me the tools to open my heart up and dissect it and allow him to put it back together the way it was designed to be put back together. Not the way I wanted it, but the way he wants it.
Is it true that you used to walk past River Oak to the liquor store?
So the 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 whole time I was running from God, God had me surrounded by River Oak. When I was 18, I had probation across the street from River Oak at the substance abuse program. And I would sit out in front of that place on Thursday nights, cussing the world because I had to go through a recovery program. And I would sit on the other side of the street as a kid, mad at the world and everybody in it. Then, later on, I lived down the street from River Oak, and I didn't have a car. And I would get dropped off from work and would literally walk down Great Bridge Boulevard, right past River Oak Church to the Great Mart right here on the corner. I would get my beer and walk right past River Oak on the way home. And I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I would open the beer up and be drinking it as I walked past River Oak. And I would walk home, drink my beer, and the next day do the same thing. Get home, walk right past River Oak, walk right back past it. Then, after all of that, when me and my wife got together, we were in the hotel at the end of Great Bridge Boulevard. So I literally was across the street, walking down the street, lived down the street. The whole time I was running from God, He had me right around the building. That instead of being across the street cussing Thursday nights for a recovery program, I was going to be in this building on Thursday nights starting a recovery program. So, yes, it was true. I walked down the street drinking beers right in front of River Oak Church, just looking dumb.
Little did you know you would be leading others to Christ with that story.
With that story, I never knew that I would be in River Oak telling people about all the things that I did around River Oak, just running from God.
What would you say to someone still stuck in addiction?
It's not worth it, but you are. You are worth. To God, you were worth His only Son. You were worth the blood on the cross. You were worth Jesus Christ living a perfect life to take all your sins away so that you could live life and that you could go to heaven. It's not worth throwing your life away for drugs or alcohol. There's so much more that God has in store for you and so much more He has planned for you. Drugs and alcohol only numb the pain for a little while. Jesus and God, they can take the pain away and make it to where you live a life that you don't want to numb no more. Live a life full of joy and happiness, and you don't have to chase the bottle or the drugs no more. If you chase Jesus even half as hard as we chase the drugs and the alcohol, our life will turn 1,000% better than what it ever was. And you just don't have to do it alone. You don't have to rely on yourself. There is no reason that we have to turn back to the alcohol and to the drugs each and every day. Whatever brought us to the drugs and to the alcohol, our Lord and Savior can take it and can heal us and can wash us clean of the alcohol and whatever the pain was that brought us to the alcohol, the drugs or women or whatever it is that you're seeking and that you are searching for. Jesus is the only answer. I've tried it all. I've chased the women, the drugs, the alcohol, and it only led me deeper into a hole that I couldn't get out of. So if I had to say anything to anybody today using drugs or alcohol, I would just I would tell them that God is the answer, but there's so many tools out here that can help get you to God. You don't have to have yourself together. You don't have to have everything checked in the box and all your affairs in order to come to church. Come as you are and let God do the fixing. Uh, he that's all he wants. He just desires for you to come and lay it down and let him do his job. And the alcohol and drugs will never take the pain away. They're only going to make it worse.
What are you most thankful for today when you look back on everything he's brought you through?
I'm most thankful for, first and foremost, that I now know my Savior, that I know that I am saved and there's nothing that I can do. But I'm most thankful I know it's going to sound weird, but I'm thankful that I was able to get sober before I knew God, so that I could have both sides of the story to tell. I want to be able to confidently I'm glad that I'm able to confidently look at somebody and tell them, I did sobriety without Jesus, and I did sobriety with Jesus. And tenfold is so much easier with Jesus. I would never wish anybody to do it without Jesus, not even on my worst enemy. And I don't have no more. But, yeah, I'm thankful that I know both sides of the coin. Yeah, there's no flip and see which one you get. I know both sides. I can tell you I've lived through both. I've experienced both, and I am thankful to look someone in the eyes and confidently say that this is real. Jesus is real. He took everything that I was trying to fix, and he fixed it for me. And I watched him do it with a sober mind. I seen him heal me from the inside out, sober-minded. I can honestly say that it was Jesus. It wasn't the drugs. It wasn't alcohol. It was Jesus. And I'm thankful for that.
Did you tell me your daughter was getting baptized?
I did.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So my daughter is getting baptized on the Thanksgiving service here at River Oak. And man, it is a wonderful feeling. I am so proud of myself to be able to have come from the darkness to the light and lead my daughter in a direction to where at such a young age, she does not have to question or go through anything I did at her age. She knows who she is. She knows she's a child of God. She knows she has a Lord and Savior, and that she does not have to do anything on her own. It just makes me so proud as a father that I've been able to transform my life in such a way. Well, Jesus has been able to transform my life in such a way that not only do my kids not know who I was, but the person that I am today is leading them to Jesus, and that is just so awesome to me. I would say that's probably, I wasn't thinking about that, but that probably is what I'm most thankful for, honestly. I love being able to tell both sides of the story, but to have my daughter want to be baptized because of what she sees in me and her mother. I'm very thankful for that, for sure. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal as a father, I think.
Yes, sir.
So you said this, and I'll probably wrap it up with this. If he can take a kid from across the street and turn him into a man on this side of the street, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so if I had one thing to say to anybody that that just needed to be encouraged, I would just say, if he can take a kid from the other side of the street and turn him to a guy walking up and down the street and transform him into a man on this side of the street, trying to reach out to the men still in the street, there's nothing he can't do with you. Because I was just a broken kid and a drunk guy, and now I'm a man trying to seek the broken kids and the drunk guys and let them know that Jesus and God can take any situation and turn it for his glory. He can take ashes and turn them to beauty. He can take a drunk guy and turn him into a recovery leader. He can do anything. He created it. He can do it. And, man, there's nothing that he can't do, and he's improved it. Yeah, he ain't nothing he can't do. Hi, I'm James, and I am captivated and changed by Jesus.
Awesome.
For a few years now, I know it's not like supposed to have like a scripted prayer or anything like that, but every morning in my prayer, I ask God to fill me with the Holy Spirit. Lead me to Jesus so I can live each and every day captivated and changed by Jesus Christ. I've just incorporated that in my prayer, and it's one of the things I say to him every morning, is to help me live captivated and changed by Jesus. Because captivated is one thing and changed is one thing, but when you can be captivated because of the change that Jesus did in your life and then show others, that's just awesome. And that's our goal as Christians.